Welcome to our Orem Business Alliance webinar. I'm Kathy Lewis. I'm the Economic Development Division Manager for the City of Orem. We have with us Nate Prescott. He's running the technical background. He's our Economic Development Analyst. And before we introduce our speaker, Greg Whelan, I wanted to just remind you, Orem businesses, about Governor Herbert's recent address that he gave us on Sunday evening, and that was a COVID-19 state of emergency order, and it does apply especially to our businesses. He ordered a mask mandate, and just a reminder to be sure that you and all your employees working in your businesses have masks on at all times, and that's going to now be enforceable by the State Department of Labor. They could fine businesses for non-compliance. If you have questions, if you need more information about it, Nate is going to post in the comment section where you can go. It's coronavirus.utah.gov/business. He's going to post that URL. You can go there. They'll be able to help you answer all your questions. There'll be a Q&A on there too if you have specific questions about that. You can also go to our economic development website. It's econdev.orem.org. Nate's also going to post that. And if for some reason you're not receiving our emails, reach out to Nate in the chat section today and provide your email, and we'll make sure that you get on our email list for information. But I want to now introduce our speaker, Greg Whelan. He serves as the lead faculty for Strategic Marketing Certificate Program at UVU in their Executive Education Division. And he also serves as onboarding instructor and small business mentor for the Startup Incubator Program at the Utah Valley Business Resource Center. And Greg brings to us over 27 years of experience as a management, business development, brand, and marketing consultant. He's the founder of Whelan BPI, a marketing strategy consulting firm, and he previously served as president and CEO of ICS Business Solutions and as co-chair, site leader, instructor, and mentor at Entrepreneur Launchpad. And Greg specializes in working with small to mid-sized companies, and he's helped hundreds of his clients leverage advanced marketing, psychographics, and positioning strategies to quickly generate new sales, dominate their markets, and to successfully grow their companies. And through his methods and techniques, many of his clients have transformed their businesses and attracted lucrative contracts with large retail partners. So we'd like to now turn the time over to Greg for our presentation.
Okay, well, thank you, Kathy. Welcome, everybody. I'm going to go ahead and share a slide deck with you here. So what we're going to talk about today is how to make your products and services sell themselves. So that's always kind of a thing. One of the big problems I see with small, mid-sized companies is that they work way too hard to try to get sales. Excuse me. And so this is, it's a big problem. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to share some information today on psychographics and how to trigger the buying process automatically and get your products and services to kind of sell themselves. It's a lot less work, a lot more fun. So most entrepreneurs would rather be doing other things than, beating the bushes and chasing customers down the street and twisting arms and things like that. So hopefully this will help out. By the way, these are the same strategies that major corporations use every day to dominate their markets and make millions. So this is something that they use on a regular basis. It works just as well for a one-man or one-woman company. And you just have to kind of know how to apply it. So that's what we're going to go over today. Okay. Now, if you have any questions, just unmute yourself and just blurt out comment, and we'll address your question or your comment. Okay. So, all right. So the very first thing we need to know is that the buying, there's three things you need to know about the unconscious mind if you want to make your products and services sell themselves. And they are, number one, that the unconscious mind is responsible for all human behavior and decisions, okay? And a lot of people don't know that. So the other thing is that it communicates with feelings. It doesn't have access to our language center, like the logical or conscious mind does. And the other thing you need to know is that the unconscious mind reacts thousands of times faster than the conscious mind, okay? So to give you some idea, if the conscious mind and the unconscious mind were having a foot race, or, and the gun goes off to start the race, by the time the conscious mind moves 1 inch, the unconscious mind would have ran 15 miles, just to give you some idea. So the conscious mind processes information at about 40 bits per second, where the unconscious mind processes information at about 40 billion bits of information per second. So there's a huge difference. And so that's one of the reasons why the unconscious mind is responsible for buying decisions, okay? Or at least the initial buying decisions. So the other reason is that buying decisions are made based on deep-seated preferences and that live in the unconscious mind. So your values, your opinions, your likes, dislikes, priorities, beliefs, biases, all those things live in your unconscious mind. And so, and basically what you want to do is you want to line up everything in your business so that it matches your target market's deep-seated preferences. Okay, when you do that, the automatic response is it's called satisfying your target market's primary gratification. Okay, so and how you do that is you use your use of words, colors, shapes, decor, appearance, website marketing systems, processes, virtually everything that you do, anything that they can evaluate with their 5 senses is going to have some effect on this unconscious situation. So what happens is how this might look in the real world. Let's say you walk into a restaurant, okay, and you've never been there before. You walk in and you're like, wow, this is pretty cool. I mean, that's the feeling that kind of bubbles up. Now, in reality, the unconscious mind has already taken in tons of sensory input from this restaurant, okay? And if this is something that lines up with your deep-seated preferences, then it's going to be a positive feeling that bubbles up, okay? Now, for the rest of the evening, what's going to happen now is the conscious mind, I'm going to call it the logical brain just because it's easier to say, but what the logical brain does is it looks for rational support to justify the feeling that bubbled up from the unconscious mind. So in essence, the unconscious mind made the decision, so to speak. It's like, wow, this is good. It react, the vibe worked, right? And so now the conscious mind is going to overlook anything that's that may be negative. And so if the restaurant doesn't mess up too bad, then by the end of the evening, your conscious brain should have no problem finding some positive things to support that emotional response. And you're going to walk out and you're going to say, wow, that was a really great dining experience. So now the opposite is true as well. So if somebody walks into a restaurant and let's say the restaurant's not very appealing and the feeling that bubbles up is, wow, I'm not sure about this place, or I don't like this place, then the conscious mind is going to do the same thing. It's going to try to justify that negative feeling. And so it's going to overlook a lot of positive things, and you're going to walk out and you're going to say, wow, I'm never going back there again. So it's really important that everything that you do within your business supports or produces that emotional response, that initial gratification in your target market. So if you have an establishment and somebody walks in the door, then everything needs to be really kind of configured to bubble up that positive response. If you're going someplace else to meet with a client, or you're meeting with a client like on Zoom, then the impression needs to be the same. It needs to be very positive, boil up a positive response, okay? And like I said, you can use words, colors, shapes, decor, appearance, so your dress. If they're going to your website and they're shopping there, then that's very important. All these things need to basically line up with the preferences of the unconscious mind on your target market. If they do, it'll produce a positive result. And what that does is it triggers the buying process. In other words, when the unconscious mind says, ooh, I like that, then you've successfully triggered the buying process, And now instinctively, they're going to start looking for reasons to buy. Okay. So this is where the logical brain comes in. The logical brain basically looks for rational support. So if it can connect the dots, in other words, if you see a flashy red sports car drive down the street and you're like, ooh, I really want that. But the conscious mind says, you have 8 kids and there's no way you're going to get 8 kids in those 2 seats. Then that's a false beta. And so what happens is, the buying decision doesn't happen. But if it's something, if your target market can connect the dots, in other words, you're providing the right rational support for them, then as soon as they make the positive buying decision and they start looking for that, you provide that, then the natural result is going to be more times than not, they're going to buy. Now, when I first started applying this 17 years ago, my sales went up 300%. I couldn't believe it. And I was pretty doubtful at first. But since that time, in the last 17 years, I've seen some really incredible things using this stuff. So in essence, what we have is, what we're going to go over today real quick is some of the primary gratification. So if I was going into the holiday season and I wanted to increase sales, then one of the things I would want to do is be able to sell that primary gratification. And of course, to do that, you need to know what it is, right? So, so we have rational support, primary gratification. There's some other advanced strategies too, but let's just go over this real quick. All right, so ideas is the first category. So if your target market gets their primary gratification by interacting with ideas, so they're going to be like entrepreneur, strategy consultant, explorer, designer, inventor, artist, people like that, then they value freedom, flexibility, and control without involvement. So if I was selling these guys, then I would position my product or service in a way that's going to provide freedom and flexibility for them, give them ultimate control, and their buying experiences, they like to be catered to. So they like convenience, they like bottom line, just give them the bottom line. So that's how I would configure my website. That's how I would configure my marketing, my sales presentation. Literally everything that I do to interact with these guys would be couched in that, okay? So let's do the next one real quick. We'll just buzz through these. The next category is the people category. These are people who get their major gratification through social interaction, okay? So these would be like teachers, realtors, social workers, personal coaches, medical workers that work with patients, people who are front-facing, who enjoy working with other people, okay? So they value connecting, bonding, relationships. The buying experience that they want is friendly, caring, inclusive. They want to be part of the family. So if whatever I was selling to these type of people, then I would position it, I mean, literally everything in my business to sell that gratification. So instead of think of it this way, instead of selling your products or services, use your products and services as a prop to sell the emotional gratification, okay? So configure everything to do that. Now, if I was going to do the last category, and it was things category, these people get their primary gratification by interacting with things, inanimate objects, data, numbers, things like that. These would fall into programmers, engineers, accountants, tradespeople, researchers, anyone who prefers to deal with things, tools, materials, as opposed to people or ideas, then they would fall into this category, okay? And they value performance, accuracy, and efficiency. Their buying experience is logical and analytical. And so their fantasy is that the data makes the buying decision. So if I was selling anything to this particular group, I would cater my entire business around providing this kind of a buying experience, because what I'm doing is I'm selling the gratification, not the product or service. And so if you watch TV commercials and you take a step back and you say, okay, they're really not selling laundry soap, what are they selling? What you'll notice is that they're using the laundry soap to really sell something it's infinitely more valuable, which is the emotional gratification, the primary gratification, okay? And so large companies are really good at doing this. Small, mid-sized companies, not so much. And over the last 17 years, I have never come across a small, mid-sized company that really used psychographics or understood how to incorporate it in their marketing stuff. But I can tell you from years of experience that this is a game changer. It really makes a huge difference when you start selling the gratification instead of the product or service. Okay, any questions? No? Okay, so let's wrap it up then. Oh, yes,
I
go
have a
ahead.
quick question on, so I see you linking psychographics to professions. Can you tell me where some of that research comes from versus like taking an audience? I know there's demographics for audiences and stuff like that, but I was just interested in the idea that all entrepreneurs are more sold on the ideas than they are on the things and that kind of thing. Where does that come from?
Okay, so basically it's just 17 years of experience in essence. So yeah, this is probably true 70 to maybe 85% of the time. Okay, so not every teacher is a people person. I mean, there are science teachers, there are math teachers who would probably be closer to the things category. So that's why I'm talking about more about the gratification than I do the occupation. So it's really the focus is where do they get their gratification? If they're a teacher, for example, and they get their primary gratification interacting with students, interacting with people, then yeah, I would put them in the people category. If they're getting their primary gratification through like science or math or something like that, and that's really where they feel more comfortable, then I would put them in the things category. Okay, so this is more of a rule of thumb, but it's pretty accurate. And put it this way, without this, you're connecting with people correctly about 16% of the time. It's like 16.6% of the time. Okay, so with this, if you can connect 70 to 85% of the time, that's huge. That's really a big thing. That's why I'm saying it's a huge game changer. Did I answer your question?
Yes, it does. Thank you.
Okay.
So I have a question.
Yes.
First of all, is there a chance to get your presentations pages 9, 10, and 11? I took pictures of it. I hope that's not illegal. But we actually had them to look at. And where's the best place to do a little bit more research on what you have proven to work, but just to become more perfected in using these skills?
Okay, really good questions. Yes, I understand that they're actually recording this and they're going to be sending it out to everybody, so you'll have access to the recording. The other thing I want to point out is that I want to put a plug in for the UVU Business Resource Center. We're teaching a 3-day, it's for an hour and a half, 90 minutes for 3 days on the whole things on psychographics, positioning strategies, the marketing formula. And then the last day, we're going to use all that stuff. And I'm going to show you how to boil it down into creating a very, very powerful, effective ad. So this is the website. If you want more information on that webinar, make sure you check that out. But unfortunately, when I started doing this 17 years ago, I just kind of stumbled on the word psychographics, and I didn't even know what it meant. I was like, wow. And it kind of bothered me because I'm a business consultant. I should know these things, right? So I did some research, and it was like pulling teeth trying to get decent information. Psychographics can be extremely complicated, a lot of math, a lot of charts, graphs, and all that kind of stuff. And a lot of it's kind of subjective too. So I had a really hard time finding any books that just said, here it is. Matter of fact, so 17 years later, I had somebody last year ask me, hey, any good books on this subject? And I thought, well, there's got to be some good books by now. And I went up on Amazon, and there's still not very much material on this. So what I teach is just kind of a compilation of information from all kinds of sources, plus 17 years of my experience, so I know actually what works and what doesn't work. Unfortunately, it's still like a best kept secret. Like I said, large companies use it every day, but it's not something that you see out there very much.
Okay.
So I have a question, Greg. Let's
Yes.
say you have customers from multiple different categories. Is it difficult to market to multiple different types of categories at once?
All right. So we get in this in the webinar actually, but the short answer to that is that the various different, like you'll see here, so you have 3 gratifications, you see 3 rational supports. So this on the left is the logical brain, on the top is the unconscious brain, okay? So since the unconscious brain makes the buying decision, that's the thing you want to lead with. But then as soon as you get that done, the rational mind's looking for this rational support, right? So anyway, when you put this matrix together, you end up with 9 potential buying experiences, okay? And so the thing that most people don't realize is that each of these buying experiences cancel each other out. So for instance, if you're a people person and you're warm and fuzzy and you like to interact and be inclusive and caring and friendly and all that stuff, and you're dealing with a things person who is basically, they're the complete opposite of that, everything I just described. They feel much more comfortable with things, you know, like a programmer just wants to be left alone so he can work on his stuff. And so if you come out with an ad that's got some people stuff in it and you got some things people stuff in it, then what happens is the ad really just implodes. It turns both groups off. It doesn't really do anything. And so that's probably one of the biggest mistakes I see in marketing, is that people are trying to get to the widest possible audience, okay? So how I explain this is, if you were in a large room and there were 500 people in this room, and it's a big room, okay? And you have people from all 9 of these categories in that room, and you have no idea who they are. So now you got to tap everybody on the shoulder and go around. And by the way, you only have 15 minutes, okay, to do this. So let's say you go around and you're going to try to find the people that you want to target, and then you got to present a message to them, okay? That's really hard to do. But what if I could eliminate the other 8 categories and only leave the one group in the room? And you knew that everybody in that room was your target market. And now you know exactly what to say and how to say it and everything else. Now it's like shooting fish in a barrel, okay? So the idea of trying to appeal to lots of different people is really a bad strategy, okay? If you're marketing, your market, it's got to be like you're sitting in their front room on the sofa having an intimate conversation about whatever their problem is and how you can help. If your marketing can't do that, it's going to be ineffective. And there's no way your marketing can do that if it's trying to go after everybody. There's no way.
So is it correct in assuming if your product might appeal to a wide range, that you need to target your market to the range of people that you're hoping to reach the most?
Yes. Yeah. And so, obviously there are some markets where they really lend themselves to one particular type of people, like I was saying, salespeople are generally in the people category. Okay. If I was going after CPAs, for example, I would probably target things category. So my business, my marketing, my strategies, my processes, my procedures, literally everything, colors, shapes, words, everything would be focused on that thing category to create the ultimate buying experience for that specific group. Okay. And I wouldn't really worry about the other people. So here's the great thing. There's enough people in any one of those categories to keep you busy for like 10 lifetimes, probably way more than that. Okay. So you don't have to worry about running out of people. You just need to be very specific and very focused. So marketing really only works when it's incredibly specific. Okay, that's the thing. I mean, you would be better off getting a white piece of paper with a big black marker and writing a message on there that was totally on target. You would be more successful than spending $10,000 on a website that doesn't really have a central message that's not targeted to a group that you want to target. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. Any other questions? Nope. Okay. So I would encourage you to go check out this webinar that the BRC is doing on psychographics, positioning strategies, and a bunch of other stuff, and really learn. We go into detail. We go into examples and all kinds of things, and it's a really fun class, very interactive. So, and if you have any questions, here's my contact information, and that's pretty much it.
Thank you, Dan, for your presentation, or Greg. And Dan, if you have any questions about the presentation today, reach out to Greg. And also, we hope that you will visit our econdev.orem.org website, and we will have the video there on our webpage, our Orem Business Alliance webpage. You can find it from our Economic Development webpage. And thank you for joining us. And we appreciate your time, Greg. You've given us some valuable tips and recommendations on how to better market products for businesses. And thank you for joining us.
Thank you. Appreciate being here.
Thank you, Greg.